How's it going, guys? Jackson here from the Toaster Bros, and today we're going to be doing a review of the DBPower EX5000. Hope you guys enjoy. So of course this is a sports action camera, very similar to a GoPro. So the main reason that I have my GoPro here, this is a GoPro Hero 4 and it's the silver edition that has the screen on it. The reason I have this here is because this, when I bought it, was, I want to say, either $399 or $499. So it was a $300 or $400 or even $500 camera, and that's without accessories. Just to give you an idea, this one is $60 on Amazon, and that comes with all sorts of different accessories. It comes with the case, comes with a bunch of mounts, pretty much everything you need basically to get started, and really you wouldn't need much more than the kit provides. So the EX can do 1080p video at 14 megapixel up to 30 FPS. So it's a pretty low FPS if you're going to want to do any type of slow motion or anything really like that, and it's still going to be smooth, but it's not going to be as smooth as it could be. Now the GoPro Hero 4 Silver can do 1080 at 60 FPS and 720 at 120 FPS. This one can do half of that, 720 at 60 FPS. And as I said, this one's 14 megapixels, the GoPro is 12 megapixels. And of course where this one kind of stops is at 1080. This one does go up to 4K, but only to something like at 20 FPS. It's a really low FPS. Now of course both of these cameras need cases to go underwater, but this one is rated to withstand a depth of 40 meters. This one's rated for 30 meters. Both cameras have pretty similar rechargeable batteries, and they also both have built-in Wi-Fi. So to give you guys a little overview of the physical characteristics of the camera, so you can see we have the Hero 4 over here and the camera we're reviewing, the DBPower, over here. So as far as the front goes, very similar. The lens is at the almost exact same position on both cameras. You can see we have a speaker down here, we have the little Wi-Fi, just the symbol down there, it really doesn't mean much. And then the biggest differences, I say, would be this button's a little bit bigger than this button, but they both kind of serve the same purpose. And of course you have this little screen up here. So on the Hero 4, this screen's actually really useful because a lot of times when you're trying to see if the camera's recording or if it's taking a photo or the battery life left, it just shows you really basic stuff with a little LCD screen. This one, you know, very plain and simple front, but really similar. Now as far as the buttons go, I kind of do like this button being up here a little bit better because if you're holding the camera like this, like you would typically hold a camera as a, you know, kind of like if you're holding it like this too, I typically don't think of going down to press the button. I kind of think of most buttons on cameras being more towards the top or even on the top, which kind of leads me to the top of them. Still very, very similar setup. You can see this one has an LED here on the GoPro and also a little speaker there. It's either a speaker or a microphone. I'm not honestly too sure which one it is. I think this is actually one of the microphones up here. And then the top of this one's very similar, except the OK button is a little bit smaller, but they do the same thing as far as taking a picture or starting your video recording, and it also has a little LED indicator up here. And then it's kind of interesting how they did the patterns. You can see this one has like a just diagonal line pattern, this one has kind of like a diagonal checkered pattern. And then to compare the thickness of them, you can see the DBPower one's a little bit thicker than the GoPro, but not too much. And then as far as overall size, yeah, it looks like the DBPower is actually pretty much the exact same as far as width and length. It's just the, I guess you could say the depth is a lot thicker on the DBPower one. Going over here to the sides, you can see also very, very similar setup. So we have a spot for the micro SD card. Now this, by the way, is the DBPower one, and this is the GoPro. Now I kind of switched sides, but you can see that they both have micro SD slots. They both have the micro HDMI. Sorry, there are two different spots here. And then they both have the same type of, actually they both have different charger types. One of them is micro USB, which I think is this one, and then the other one's the same type that like all the Samsung Galaxies use and a lot of other Android phones, and I can't remember if I'm mixing those up or not. And then last but not least, we have right here the slot to access the battery. So the DBPower one, I will admit, is a little bit difficult to undo. Here, let me see if I can do it. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure Okay, so that was, if I gotta admit, that was pretty uncomfortable. So how they have it is to where the release button's right here. So let me go ahead and put it back in for you guys so you can kind of see me do that again. I'm putting it in the wrong way. So the release button's right here, so what makes that really awkward is the bottom of it doesn't just fall out when you do the release button. You have to get your finger under there. So while you're holding the release button, it's super close to it. So that's kind of difficult. You might want to end up doing this and then using like your, like a key or something like that. It's not the end of the world trying to undo it, but it's definitely not exactly easy. So to get the battery out, it does have a little tab on it where we can pull it. And the battery, I think this is smaller than the GoPro's one, but let's go ahead and pull the GoPro's out to give you a comparison. So the GoPro, I've always liked the design of that. You just push down and this slides out. And then same type of thing, have the little tab on there. So yeah, battery size is a little bit different. So you can see this one's a little, actually they're the exact same depth and almost the same size. The GoPro's battery is a little bit bigger. They're both lithium ion. They're both, of course, rechargeable. So the GoPro battery is 3.8 volts. The DBPower one is 3.7 volts at 900 milliamps, while the GoPro one's at 1160 milliamps. And this is 3.3 watt hours, and this one is 4.4 watts. Okay, and so of course now we're going to show you guys the screen. So you can see the GoPro here is on the left, and then the DBPower is here on the right. So you can see kind of similar layouts. I will say the GoPro does have a cleaner looking interface. The DBPower just, I guess you could say, looks, it just makes me feel a little bit cheaper just because of how the, I guess you could say the font and the lettering is in the different colors, while the GoPro just has more of this fluidity to it. Now the GoPro is touchscreen, and that's not true for all of them. A lot of the GoPros do not have screens on them, but a lot of the newer ones do come with screens, even some of the cheaper ones. But I know that, I want to say that not all of those are touchscreen either, but I will put that in the video. So this one definitely does have a little bit, weight-wise I think they're pretty similar, but I think this one is a little bit lighter even though it's bigger. And it, it kind of shows in some ways just because the materials do feel a little more plasticky, but they, of course, both are fairly plasticky because they're meant to be inside that case at pretty much all times. And if they're out of the case, then they're really only meant to be doing stuff like this where you're just holding it, or they even have little skeleton housings where it's only like a half case and stuff. But you really want to always have both of these in the case at all times. So with the GoPro, we really don't have any other switches on it just because it's touchscreen. And you can see we can even do like a little lock here, and you can get to all the settings through touch, and there's really not much more to it. You can of course change like the mode with the front button here, just like this camera. So if I do the front button, let's see if I can find it, we can change between video, we can change between picture. So pretty similar type of settings. Then we can also go to our recent photos and then settings. So this one has an up and a down to be able to change, and you can also see the up and down are also for volume. But there's actually a whole lot of settings to go through, and I'm just gonna scroll through them real quick and let you guys see them, but I'm really not gonna focus on any of these because there's actually a surprising amount of settings, which is really good for a cheap camera like this. Normally there's really not too much you can do to them, but with this one you got a whole lot of settings. So now that we've pretty much done our main comparison, let's go ahead and shoot some video. They're both going to be at 1080. This one I am going to be doing at 1080 at 60 FPS, and this one at 30, just to kind of give you the slight difference of the frames per second. But other than that, we should be seeing similar video quality.